So I'm going to get right into the next panel discussion, which will be decentralization in business, key features of enterprises. We have Oliver speaking from Blockchain Bundesverband, David from Trondau, Simon from SAP SE, and Peter Busch from Bosch, moderated by Konstantin from PwC. I'd love to welcome you to the stage now. Please come to the stage. Give them a warm round of applause. We'll get this next panel right underway.
Hello, hello. Good morning from my side as well. I'm really happy today to be here and moderate this really good panel. So we have very interesting personalities on here and really interesting use cases we are going to discuss. Today about business and enterprise in the Web3 area. My name is Konstantin. I'm leading the crypto assurance practice at PwC. So doing a lot of different Web3 projects from a security, from a compliance and regulation perspective. And I'm really excited to be today here with some great personalities. And Peter, do you want to start with a short intro?
Yeah, hello. Great. Hello. Yeah. Elated to be here as well. Peter Busch. I'm the global lead for decentralized technologies at Bosch, working out of the automotive strategy, directly out based in Stuttgart. I'm a computer scientist with an MBA, so always in two worlds, yeah, looking into the technology as well in the economic frameworks around that. And yeah, so I think quite happy to talk a little bit about our use case, our take on Web3 at Bosch.
I have a microphone with me, so I'm passing this by.
Lucky me.
So, my name is Oliver Naegele. I'm one of the chairs of the Blockchain Association Germany. And on the other side, I'm the founder of Human in Data, what is focusing more on trustworthy AI data and how to get the economy of those crowd workers into the need from enterprises for real data that is not coming from some kind of bots.
Hello, my name is Simon. I work at SAP since 8 years. I'm product manager. I actually work with strategic customers and partners, and I think more relevant for this part on the amazing payment topic and how it can be also used with blockchain, and kind of also an internal ambassador for the technology and educating people around it.
Lucky me, they put me with a lot of enterprise people, so I could be unaddressed. Hi everyone, my name is Elad Mintzer. I'm here with the hat of ICP Hub Germany. ICP, Internet Computer, is one of the largest protocols today. Depends on the day, but it's worth about $5 to $6 billion. And it's number 20, I think, today in the biggest blockchains. A part of that, I also a part of the Celo Europe, which is a DAO that helps the Celo blockchain to spread in Europe. And I'm in blockchain for like 3 years. I worked with DAOstack, with QChain, with Patricia, with lots of different kind of semi-DAOs. And hopefully I can bring that kind of vibe of DAOs here as well.
Great, thank you very much. So we have people of both worlds here. Why don't we start with a short opener from Simon maybe. What do you think about the traction in the business area? Where do you see the most traction in Web3 and business and enterprise together? Can you give us like what are you guys working on at SAP?
Thanks for the question. For us, I think SAP is hopefully well known, maybe also quite successful cloud ERP company. So for us, it's always a little bit about the business process. How can we enhance the business process for the company? And it's not a matter what technology it's using. It's really about, hey, what kind of outcome can we drive for the enterprise and the user actually daily using it? So it really becomes also a kind of a question when to use the technology and blockchain and The use cases where we have seen lately most traction, to be honest, is really around payments and stablecoins, because I mean, it's a very basic use case, to be honest, and it's been discussed since years, but the power is actually really good because it can make payments cheaper, faster, more traceable between every party who needs to be paid, and make the value chains much more transparent. The second kind of adoption angle we have seen is really also enterprises getting into NFTs and marketing and how to create communities, and actually using this to kind of facilitate it as a marketing and adoption channel. And the third piece is really about identity and how you can actually give employees kind of a decentralized identity, where they can carry all their certificates, and even like SAP, we also have some trainings on technology, and just carry it with them. I think those are the kind of three major themes I currently see.
Just to follow up on that, how serious is SAP taking these three business use cases? Maybe you focus on one, which is the most important for you guys, and how far are you already in the process implementing something like that?
So personally, for me, it's really the payment use case is the most important for me, because it just makes sense. If you think about an enterprise which needs to get onboarded into crypto and the whole space, and what does it do, it's a very hard conversation with your CFO to explain them, hey, here is Pepecoin and you can make a lot of money. It's a much more easier conversation if you say, here's a stable coin, you need to understand why it's stable and what's the risk associated with it. But then they can see all the benefits it actually creates if you adopt kind of stable coins in terms of making payments, paying employees, whatever. And for me, this is most important. The other use cases, I would say, are more in the exploration phase. I think there are solutions out. So if anybody is interested, just hit me up. But we also need to take some bets, let's say it.
Very interesting. So Oliver, you're coming from a different angle. What do you think about the use cases, and where do you see the most potential?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part is that people like Peter and Simon, they're really ambassadors regarding this Web3 in those different big corporates. And those people are very, very important to get anyhow some kind of traction, right? That's the most important part. I mean, you already mentioned something like identity. I'm coming out of this identity world as well, working since 2016 on this topic. And it is something that we see right now is moving more out of blockchain and more into something that is now called the EU Digital Identity Wallet, with the different large enterprises moving more into seeing that, okay, what is regulation? The only thing that really matters is regulation and everything that comes with it. So, and that's something that is really important to understand. Where do we really want to get a scale up into it? Yeah, because sometimes in the Web3 world, it is often forgotten that this is for corporates and enterprises the main point regarding the management, regarding the legal guys. You know, if you're talking to compliance, I mean, I guess you know what I'm talking about. If you're talking to compliance, first of all, they're really getting a headache. If you're talking that there is something, yeah, it's not yet ready, but will be there soon. And that's something that you really have to work very well into how to manage it, how to get the innovation part into it. Now we have a real big problem that the innovation is absorbed with this topic of AI. Yeah, it's the next panel. And this is something that we see when we're talking with enterprises, as for instance, the Blockchain Association, where we have a couple of enterprises, of course, as our members, that those people, those ambassadors, have a lot of problem right now saying that the innovation is now fully focusing on AI, right? That's really a challenge.
So you lose a little bit the traction because AI is more important for a lot of businesses right now, right?
It always has to do with budget. First of all, right, in big corporates, you always have a certain budget. This is normally covered within 1 year or maybe longer. And then you can think about who do you really want to advocate, how do you want to get this into the next wave, and how do you want to shine as a company from the outside looking in. And we see it from where I'm coming from, that identity is, of course, something that is really, really important. And if you're talking about Web3, you always have to cover something with a wallet. And the wallet should be, if you're going to the enterprise, should be covered with regulations so that identity with a KYC is bound. And then you have a certain abstraction saying that it is still as such that it's at least pseudonymous, right? But you can cover it so that you're not losing those people that are really, evangelists in this Web3 space and want this fully sovereign, but you still have this gap in between what those people want, what the enterprises need, so you have at least some kind of option to cover this gap.
Yeah. Before we come to Peter to talk a little bit more about that topic, Elad, what do you think about it? Where do you see the traction in the businesses, and where can really the Web3 world help the businesses evolve more and more with the new technology?
So there's like two parts of that. First, maybe talking about identity. So ICP builds a decentralized cloud. So it's the next generation, third generation of blockchain that allows everything to be on chain. When you tap that in with AI, it basically allows you to have more efficiency and more scalability and more privacy as well. So you can even, Dfinity, the foundation that created and leading ICP, is now working on a KYC solution that allows you to have identity on chain that is actually decentralized, because all the identity on chain today is actually super centralized, because in order to tap into DeFi, you actually need to go through some sort of a centralized entity that will do some kind of KYC. So that's an interesting solution. So, but as I said, I would like to separate my answer to two. One is disruptive the enterprise world. So the old world of DAOs, we have about 2,500 DAOs maybe with $30 billion waiting to be taken. And they're trying to think how should a corporate work? How should an enterprise work? And that's a very interesting part. And then there's a part of the enterprises that want to tap into that and to take that liquidity. And how do we do the governance of the liquidity of that? So QChain is working on something like that. How do we do the governance? And there's a lot of different solutions. And then the other part of that is regarding, and that ICP gets a lot of traction around that, and that's how do we use blockchain as a way to cooperate with different entities. So, for instance, there's an organization in Italy that created together with ICP, on top of ICP, some sort of authenticity of goods. So that is being authenticate in decentralized way, and it's governments cannot lead the way anymore with corporations. When we have the big techs and all the international corporations that are leading everything, and tech is leading everything, we need an infrastructure that will allow all of us to work together. And an internet computer allows something like that to happen when you put everything on a chain, and then you can even have API calls to the different kind of smart contracts, and you can have different kind of scalability that allows much more than that.
So you see a lot of potential in this synergies between the two businesses. So we talked about a little bit of payments. You said identities is, I think, very important. And then we had the whole topic of decentralization and bringing a supply chain together. So let's hear from Bosch what you guys are working on.
Right. Of course, digital identity is a huge thing for us as well, definitely. But I want to start somewhere else, because when I started at Bosch like 19 years ago already, everything was talking about Internet of Things. Yeah, so we had huge masses of data coming from everywhere. We have billions of sensors, billions of different products are connected in the world and generating data. And that was the idea. I came there and looking for new business models, looking for how to really embrace the new development, but we didn't succeed with that. So we really were too much data and too much things around that. Technology was not really ripe for that, not enough mature. And this has changed now these days, because I really liked the statements we heard before from the guy from Animoca. brands regarding the democratization of data again, yeah, data sovereignty and the small or the really huge only small number of decentralized companies, the platforms, who are taking all our data which we are building and we do not have anything of it. And so since Bosch is really having this I think that means of the slogan was all the years Technik fürs Leben, yeah, technology for life, and really later on now really more and more coming to data sovereignty is more important now than ever. Yeah, what do we do with the data? Who owns the data? Who can monetize the data? And so now this is really changing. So we need for that, we need really this decentralized digital identity, which we really build into our products. In the cars, you can think about a use case for yourself that the car has to authenticate, has to identify itself, can pay, in-car payment is a huge thing. And there as well, the payment stuff, you said it, as well centralized. Yeah, so we only have decentralized systems with PayPal, credit cards, you name it. And this is not really the future that we want to live in. If you only have centralized parties in the background who own our data, who own our payment processes, who own everything. And so this is the main idea we would drive forward now, having gone more and more in this connected world. And now the huge change again occurred with AI. Everybody's talking now about AI. I talked to some major OEMs in the last months, and they say, every innovation here only starts with AI. You can't talk about anything else. And so we did a quite clever move, I think. We combined now the AI hype with decentralization. So saying about AI can only succeed, or maybe the vision that everyone now has, if you do it decentralized. Yeah, so this is one of the big moves we go forward now, combining digital identity for the cars, for the products, for industry, for the own, all that other stuff, and doing here the production, the planning, the technology, and as well the operation on the streets. And using AI definitely as well, getting better, having better support, having better service on the car, and having new use cases. However, that needs to get decentralized. And again, the third part here, that is tokenization. Yeah, so that we have really can monetize the data for the user who produces it. And as well go into a more democratized and login free state and business for the future, where you can use real decentralized systems. Of course, consensus protocols and all that stuff is really, governance is so important, so we are not there yet. So we have a long road in front of us, but we had this discussion before. We are always talking to our board, to our top management, and trying to convince them Web3 blockchain is not bad. It's not all FTX. It's not all Bitcoin dark market or anything
Not
in
memes.
the darknet or something like that. Exactly, yeah, memes. And so that's another level I haven't even started discussing. So just telling them decentralization is now the key. Yeah, so data sovereignty is again the thing, and then we can go into AI and really realize what the big vision here is. And this is really the mission and the vision that I have here at Bosch.
Let's dive in that topic a little bit deeper, because, well, you have an advantage with Bosch right now in the old economy world, because you're collecting, of course, a lot of data with your products. This is, of course, for these large corporations, a huge power topic. You have a lot of knowledge about your customers. How do you discuss that with a board that if you start decentralizing, you maybe lose power through that, because you don't have all your the data for yourself? It's decentralized, and the customer owns the data, basically. What kind of discussions and convincing discussions you have to do with your board?
That's exactly what I meant at the beginning. We thought we have the superpower because of these billions of sensors and data what we can collect. But this isn't the reality. The real power is on the central platforms who are going to use that data, yeah, because they have the network effects, and we know these processes, how this is working. They do everything, they do have their own business behind it. Yeah. Well, of course, we can do something with the data, improving the production, improving the development and stuff. However, what I try now to convince and what we're going to discuss, and the ears are now open for that really, is how to use, for example, large language models in the future, how to train them with all that data that we have and use it later on. And have it really then as well monetized, because we exactly know who owns the data which goes into these models, who gets incentivized for training these models, because this was the huge problem before. We were never really sure how to incentivize someone who just collects the data and now put it in some model. And of course, they all know now the Web 2, say, disadvantages we saw in the last years, and say, okay, only the others earn money with it, not me, myself. And now, with the decentralization, I can now convince our management as well to say, and that we do not lose power that we don't have in reality. Yeah?
Okay.
So we build it up ourselves to get our share now in these new ecosystems which are come up, having the real power of AI, the real power of our data that we create, but giving as well some power or some might back to the end user who really needs it. And that's something, and we work closely with the governments on that, and they really love that, of course. I'm not the biggest fan of regulation, especially in Germany, we have enough of that. However, when it comes to AI and when it comes to data sovereignty, this is a big issue that we need really somehow to regulate together with the government and maybe as well with the big companies, and that's, said it well, nicely, Ambassador, for the whole industry, that we have to look at it in a different new way. Yeah? Data sovereignty is key.
Great.
If I may add just a sentence. Eventually, I guess it's the Apple Store play. Apple understood we're sitting on customers, we're sitting on our brand. Let's capitalize that, open that to the public, and allow the public to do something interesting with that that will make us more powerful. So I think it's quite interesting, that vibe of understanding your responsibility, but also taking one step further and understanding when someone is creating the next Shazam on the next Spotify, you're not going to take that and create a product by yourself, but you're actually going to be continuing being decentralized. So all of those internet protocols, all of those different chains, they understand their responsibility that they cannot be centralized and they cannot develop all of their ecosystem by themselves. So they need to create an infrastructure that allow others to shine, to prosper, to get rich on their behalf, but allowing them to be a part of a new country, of a new ecosystem that allows everyone to profit.
Great thing, I just have a short anecdote on that. It's really, really fitting well. Like 12, 13 years ago, when we had our first business model workshop again with lots of data, we always had this Bosch drilling machine and the iPhone in the other hand. So what is the difference between these two devices? Yeah? And we thought, great, how Apple does that. Yeah? So we need to do that for our machines as well. But we didn't succeed with that because the network effect, the ecosystem that Apple built up, and never let anyone else in. Yeah? So of course we work together with Apple, because we work together with Google. However, this needs to change in the future and say, okay, there need to be other maybe like vision, other like business models behind it, which not always go in these central platforms. And this is really a really, really good example for that.
And then you have Bosch stablecoin and then your country.
Don't dare.
But if I may hook in there, I think the key word for me is ecosystem. As soon as enterprises, like traditional enterprises, understand it's really also an ecosystem play, the conversation with the management becomes a little bit easier. I think SAP, we have over 30,000 partners, so we already are very ecosystem driven in a way. The key difference now with the Web3 world is you need to explain your management, hey, we are kind of the director currently of the partner ecosystem. In the Web3 world, it's like the free market. Everybody with a good idea can access the data in a certain way, can build something on top, and if they succeed, they are quite successful, and the whole ecosystem profits. And this was really kind of a game changer then in the management conversation, if you explain it's really an ecosystem play. On the other side, I think this is maybe also where new actors coming in, like think about the decentralized autonomous organizations. And I think there have been some cases, for example, with VitaDAO and Pfizer, where traditional companies are now working with DAOs. And I think this is how you need to amplify the ecosystem in general.
So we covered very positive things. I think since we are not there yet, and businesses are not decentralized, I would like to focus a little bit more on the hurdles and what the two worlds can learn from each other. So Oliver, why don't you give us like some examples? Where do you think Web3 has to learn from Web2 and the other way around? And where are the biggest challenges? Why are we not there yet?
That's a really good question. I don't have a crystal ball. I can tell you now the 3 steps, and then everybody is like, great. I think that where Web 2 can definitely learn from Web 3 is the whole idea of this marketing perspective. We saw Animoca, what they were doing, for instance. Web 3, no, Web 2 can benefit from Web 3, to be honest. Because we just saw, for instance, what Animoca brand was doing, for instance, right? So this is I mean, this company was not existing since, it's very new, and then it's like, it's exploding. The whole idea of having a creator economy, getting, for instance, I'm not a big fan of airdrops, but to get, so to say, into a community-driven system that is really brand-related and then brings up this whole idea and then integrating a huge amount of people getting into it is something that, for instance, some companies like Nike was actually, directly using. That they bought some companies from the Web3 space, and now they have a quite well set up with their NFT space. From the other side, of course, what is necessary from what the Web3 space has to learn is stop with this bullshit, right? So there's so many bullshit stuff that happened over the last years, yeah? I mean, we all know that something like FTX and all these other things. This is really something that is bringing the whole industry always down. It's like, it's always those waves. And I understand those regulators, and I understand even a regulator like the SEC, that they try to protect society based on those people that are really want to bring people down, right? And this is something how to as a community, if you like, it's very opportunistic, but at least we try it from the Blockchain Association to understand that we're sitting, so to say, in the same boat, right? We're right now still in quite heavy waters, and it's now getting up, yeah? And this is really important to understand who's really taking this whole thing serious, who wants to make a real business and a sustainable business out of it, and then to understand which company we really do not want to work with, because it doesn't make sense at all, yeah? And the whole idea of this token is important to, and like ICP, I mean, a company like ICP has billions of market cap, right? And this is something that, of course, you can bring up new innovations with something like this, and this is a great benefit for the whole community in Web3, yeah? And to really pick out those, good examples and to make it, to bring it into the next level, and then have some kind of convergence in between those two technologies.
Elad, what do you think about what can Web3 actually learn from Web2?
More memes, more fun, more memes. No, actually, I was looking at the crowd, and I have a lot of things to say, but the first thing, I guess maybe because we're in Germany, but it doesn't have to be like that. But I saw it in other conferences. We need more diversity. And it's not just women. It's like bring the gays, bring different cultures, bring different colors, bring more corporate vibe and less corporate vibe, more colorful stuff. Allow people to create. Like we have in ICP, we have a grant pool of 200 million. Just create an idea, go to ChatGPT, make it into a nice proposal, and send it and get money. And you can create now your own company in such an easy way. You don't need to go so fast to VCs, and then you can go to launchpads and get some more money from the public, and then you can create your own token and go to centralized exchanges, and you can create companies. And I think that's really cool. But beside that, I think corporates need to experiment more. I see Deutsche Telekom are doing amazing things. I actually try to be a founder as well and create something on Celo, and I wanted to get votes. And Deutsche Telekom said, hey, we're not so much voting. We're a big whale. We cannot interfere in the governance. But I think they should. I think corporations should come to different blockchains, should take a part. I think the most magical things about Ethereum that is very decentralized because the different corporates that take part in the governance and innovate and lead. And I think ICP really need that as well, and other protocols as well. And I think it shouldn't be a bad way of saying like experimental is good, and you should just tap it and to make sure that you're doing it in a good way. And the last thing is accountability. I think the fact that we have an infrastructure that allow anons to take part, it's an amazing thing. But I think you should have bonuses if you're an actual person. if you have a face, if you have a name, and you can take accountability. And then you should get more governance options. And I think it should be a must for corporates to say, okay, we can be a part of that. We can create a proposal. We can get maybe some money. Opera did it with Cello. They got $5 million by saying, okay, we created a wallet on top of Cello that will allow 100 million of our users in Africa to send money to each other. And now Cello is the most active by users, daily users. So ICP is also magical. I can talk about ICP, but there's like a lot of things happening, and I think corporations should take an active part and be a part of that and should be accountable for the things they do.
But the other way around, what do you think Web3 should take over from corporations and learn from them?
Yeah, order. I think DAOstack did an amazing thing. They said like, okay, we're gonna have DAOs with flat organizations. So the organization gonna have 1,000 or 2,000 proposals a month. What are we gonna do with them? So they created a bet system that allows people to bet on proposals and to say that, kind of like product hunt, that, okay, this is an interesting proposal, let's vote on it faster. It's an interesting concept, but a part of that, there should be a core team that is doing something. Maybe 5 core teams that are competing against each other, but they still have some money in the chain so they can create stuff. I think it's super important to understand that when you have accountability, when this is their job to create something, there will be more progress. And it cannot all be by the public. Imagine a city that is being managed by only proposal by the public. It doesn't work. It can be interesting. It's great to have democracy. There should be another level of accountability, of ambassadors, of different people that are responsible for different things.
Great, thank you. I think we could sit hours here and discuss what they can learn from each other. I'm just seeing our time is up. So thank you guys very much. It was a very interesting panel, and everybody here in the room who's afterwards interested, they are all going to be here to discuss something more into depth afterwards. They are all happy to do so. So thank you as well, and let's go to the next stage.
Thank you so much.